She coldly said, "If you really don't like how I live my life, then just leave right before going clubbing all night with her male best friend." So I actually did leave, packed absolutely everything I owned while she was out dancing. When she finally got back at 3 a.m., fully expecting huge fight, she found completely empty closets and simple note. "You're absolutely right. I don't like it at all." So I left permanently. I need to tell you about the night my wife handed me the perfect exit line without even knowing it. We've been married for 6 years, not terrible years, but not great ones either. Somewhere around year 4, things started shifting. She got this new job at a consulting firm downtown, made new friends, started going out more. I didn't mind at first. People need their own lives, their own space. I get that. But then came Aaron. He was her best friend from work. Always this Aaron that they'd grab lunch, they'd stay late on projects, they'd text constantly. When I'd mention it felt inappropriate. She'd roll her eyes and tell me I was being insecure, that I didn't understand modern friendships. I was stuck in some outdated mindset. Maybe I was, or maybe I just knew what I was looking at. The night, everything changed. Started, like most Friday nights had been going lately. She was getting ready to go out again, 3rd weekend in a row. I was in the kitchen making myself dinner. Since she obviously wasn't planning to be around, she came downstairs wearing that black dress. You know the one. The dress that says you're trying to impress someone. Her makeup was perfect, hair done. She smelled like that expensive perfume I bought her for Christmas. The one she said she was saving for special occasions. Apparently clubbing with Aaron qualified as special. "You're really going out again?" I asked. Not aggressive, just tired. She stopped, turned to look at me with this expression I'd never seen before. Cold, detached, like I was some annoying roommate questioning her plans. "Yes, I'm going out. It's Friday night. I work hard all week. I deserve to have fun with Aaron." Yes, with Aaron and some other people from work. It's not a crime to have friends. I put down the sharp object I've been using to cut vegetables. It's not about having friends. It's about respect. It's about priorities. It's about, if you honestly don't like how I live my life, she interrupted, putting heavy emphasis on my, then just leave. The kitchen went silent except for the sound of water running from the faucet I'd forgotten to turn off. She grabbed her purse, checked her phone, and headed for the door. "I'll be back late. Don't wait up." The door closed. Her car started. Taillights disappeared down the street. I stood there for maybe 5 minutes just processing what she'd said. Not the words themselves, but the tone, the complete dismissal, the utter lack of concern for how I felt or what this was doing to us. "If you don't like how I live my life, then just leave, okay?" I walked upstairs to the bedroom and opened the closet. My side was pretty organized. Her side was chaos. As usual, I pulled out my phone and made 3 calls. First to Wesley, my buddy from college who I'd stayed close with. "Hey man, need a huge favor. Can you come over with your truck in about an hour? I'll explain when you get here." Second to my brother, Jack. "I'm leaving her tonight. Can you help me move some stuff?" Third to Leonard, another friend who owed me for helping him move last year. Calling in that favor. I need muscle, and I need it fast. Then I started packing 6 years of marriage, 6 years of shared space, shared belongings, shared life. I thought about this moment before in abstract terms. Now that it was actually happening, I felt this strange calm, no anger, no sadness, just clarity. I grabbed my suitcases from the garage, started with clothes, then personal items, documents from the file cabinet, my laptop, the tools in the garage that were actually mine, the signed baseball from my grandfather, photos of my family where she wasn't in them. I left every single thing that was hers, or jointly ours, the furniture, hers, the dish, hers, the TV joint purchase. But I didn't care the expensive coffee maker. She could have it. What I took was mine. What defined me before her. What I need to rebuild after her. Wesley showed up first, took one look at my face and just said, "Where do you want me to start?" That's a good friend. No questions. Just action. Jack arrived 20 minutes later with Leonard. We worked like a military operation, organized, efficient, quiet around midnight. Jack asked, "You're sure about this?" I looked at him. She told me if I didn't like her life I should leave. "I'm just doing what she suggested." He nodded. "Fair enough." By 2:30 in the morning, my truck and Wesley's truck were loaded. The bedroom closet showed this stark contrast. Her side overflowing with clothes and shoes, and back's my side completely empty, just bare hangers and empty shelves. I went downstairs and wrote a note, kept it simple, put it on the kitchen counter where she'd see it immediately. "You're right, I don't like it." So I left. I took off my wedding ring and placed it next to the note. Then I locked the door from inside, walked out through the garage, and pulled the garage door closed behind me. Wesley asked where I was heading. "Your place, if that's still cool. I'll figure out permanent arrangements this week. Stay as long as you need, brother." I followed his taillights through empty streets. My phone was still on, but I'd already decided I wouldn't answer it. Not tonight, not tomorrow, maybe not ever. She wanted her life. She could have it. All of it, without me in it. The clock in my truck read 3:14. When I pulled into Wesley's driveway, I grabbed one suitcase and left the rest for tomorrow. Inside, I finally let myself check my phone. No calls, no texts. She probably wasn't even home yet. I set an alarm for 8 a.m. I had a lot to do tomorrow. Bank accounts to separate, utilities to cancel, address to change, lawyer to call. Tonight, I just want to sleep for the first time in months. I actually slept through the night. I woke up at 7:53, 3 minutes before my alarm. My body felt different, lighter somehow, like I'd been carrying weight. I didn't even know it was there until it was gone. Wesley was already up, coffee brewing. He handed me a mug without a word, and sat down across from me at his kitchen table. So he said, "What's the plan?" I pulled out my phone, still nothing from her. It was almost 8 o'clock in the morning. She should have been home hours ago. Bank opens at 9 o'clock. I need to move my paycheck to a new account. Then I'm calling that lawyer. Sienna recommended when she got divorced last year. Wesley nodded. Smart. You've got all your important documents, everything. Birth certificate, passport, tax returns, vehicle title. I grabbed it all last night. What about the house? It's a rental lease in both names, but I already texted the landlord at 6 o'clock this morning. Told him I'm off the lease effective immediately, and she'll be handling it solo going forward. He cool with that? He said as long as the rent gets paid, he doesn't care. I'm still liable until the lease ends in August. But that's 3 months away. I'll deal with it if she bails. My phone buzzed. Finally, 17 missed calls. 23 text messages. I opened the messages but didn't read them carefully. Just scrolled through. The progression was exactly what I expected. Confusion at 3:2008 a.m. when she got home. Anger by 4:15. Panic by 5:30. Bargaining by 6:45. The most recent one sent 12 minutes ago. We need to talk. This is childish. You can't just leave without discussing things like adults. I showed it to Wesley. He laughed. That's rich. She tells you to leave. You leave. And now you're the childish one. That's usually how it works. I didn't respond to any of the messages. Instead, I got dressed and headed to the bank. The account separation took 40 minutes. The bank manager, this older guy named Richard, could tell something was up but kept it professional. I moved everything, except $200 into a new account at a different bank across town. Left just enough in the joint account to cover my half of this month's rent, which was already paid anyway. You'll want to remove your name from any joint credit cards too. Richard suggested quietly, already planning on it from the bank. I drove to Cross & Associates, the law firm. Sienna had used her lawyer, had been tough, fair and efficient, exactly what I needed. The receptionist got me in to see someone that same morning. A woman named Diana Holland, mid-40s, sharp eyes, no-nonsense demeanor. Tell me everything, she said. Pen, ready? I laid it out. 6 years of marriage. No kids, thank God. No joint property except furniture and household items. I didn't want vehicle titles were separate. No significant shared debt except the joint credit card. I was about to remove myself from the house. Rental. I'm getting off the lease. Good. That makes things cleaner. She made notes. Any infidelity. Emotionally, yes. Physically. I don't know for certain and honestly don't care to find out. Fair enough. Virginia is a no-fault state anyway, so it doesn't matter much, unless you wanted to pursue it for other reasons. I don't. I just want out clean, fast, fair. Diana smiled. My favorite kind of client. The ones who want to move on, not get retaliated. Oh, I got my retaliated already. I took her advice, and left. She actually laughed at that. I'm going to enjoy this case. Give me 3 days to draft everything in Virginia. You need to be separated for a year before the divorce is final. If there's no agreement, or 6 months, if both parties consent. She won't consent. They never do at first, but they usually come around when they realize fighting costs money. Diana closed her folder. One more thing, don't engage. She's gonna try every trick to get you to respond, to meet up, to talk. Don't everything goes through me from now on. Understood? I left her office feeling even better than I had that morning. This was actually happening. No turning back. Now my phone rang. Her number. I declined to call. It rang again, immediately declined again. Then a text. Your brother gave me Wesley's address. I'm coming over. I called Wesley. Change of plans. I'm staying at Jack's tonight. She's figured out where you live. Want me to tell her to leave if she shows up? Just don't answer the door. She'll get the message. Eventually, I drove to Jack's place across town. He worked from home as a software contractor, so he was there when I arrived. Moving in, he asked, seeing my suitcase just for tonight. She tracked me to Wesley's, persistent, desperate. Jack's apartment was smaller but comfortable. He set me up in his spare room, which was really just an office with a futon. You seem okay, he observed, calmer than I expected. I made the decision weeks ago. Honestly, last night was just the execution. Weeks ago I sat down on the futon. Yeah, about a month back. She stayed out until 4 a.m. on a work night. Came home, didn't apologize, didn't explain, just went asleep like it was completely normal. That's when I knew. Knew what? That I'd already lost her. Maybe. I never really had her either way. I was done pretending. Jack grabbed 2 drinks from his fridge and handed me one to New Beginnings. To self-respect, I countered Waylink bottles. My phone buzzed again. This time, it wasn't her. It was her sister Holly. "Don't answer," Jack said. "Wasn't planning on it, but I read the message." "What did you do?" "She's absolutely losing it." "Call me." I blocked the number. Then I went through my contacts and blocked her parents, her sister, her brother, and 3 of her closest friends who I knew would try to run interference scorched earth. Jack asked, "Clean boundaries." I corrected. They chose their side the moment they reached out on her behalf. Instead of asking what happened, my phone finally went quiet. I spent the rest of the day setting up my new normal, changed my address with the post office, updated my emergency contacts at work, removed her from my health insurance beneficiary list, canceled the joint credit card. Each task felt like coping attempt, another thread that tied me to a life I didn't want anymore. By evening, my phone had 38 missed calls, and over 60 messages from various numbers. I didn't read a single one. Wesley texted. She showed up, banged on the door for 20 minutes. Neighbors almost called the cops. She finally left me. "Sorry about that, Wesley. Don't be dinner tomorrow. You can fill me in on everything." Me. Sounds good. I fell asleep that night on Jack's futon phone, on silent wedding rings, sitting in a drawer somewhere at Wesley's house, and my future finally feeling like my own again. Tomorrow, I'd start looking at houses to buy. Small ones, affordable, ones mine. 3 days after I left, she finally got smart and showed up at my work. I saw her car in the parking lot when I arrived that morning. She was waiting by the entrance to the building where I worked as a project coordinator for a construction supply company. Not glamorous, but steady pay and decent benefits. She looked terrible. Hair, unwashed, eyes, puffy, wearing sweatpants, and one of my old college hoodies that I'd left behind. Part of me felt bad, a very small part. The rest of me remembered how she looked 3 nights ago in that black dress heading out the door without a second thought. I walked right past her. "Wait," she called out, "please. Just 5 minutes." I kept walking. Security guard named Charlotte was at the desk. I'd already given her the heads up. "This might happen," Sir Charlotte said loudly enough for everyone to hear. "Is this person bothering you?" "Yes." I said simply, "Ma'am, you need to leave the premises immediately, or I'll call the police." "Are you serious right now?" My wife's voice cracked. "I just want to talk to my husband. He's asked you to leave. That means you're trespassing." I didn't look back clear. His throat just kept walking to the elevator. I heard her start crying behind me, but I pressed the button and waited. The doors opened. I stepped inside. As they closed, I saw Charlotte firmly directing her toward the exit. My boss, Ella Elner, stopped by my desk an hour later. "Everything okay?" Charlotte mentioned an incident, personal situation. "It's handled. Need any time off?" "No, ma'am. I'm good." She studied me for a moment. Eleanor had been through her own divorce a few years back. She got it. "Okay. But if that changes, let me know." "Will do." I buried myself in work. It helped. Spreadsheets, supply orders, contractor schedules, normal problems with normal solutions. Lunchtime, my phone rang from a number I didn't recognize. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "This is Aaron." The voice was tense, uncomfortable. I said nothing. "Look, man, I just wanted to say I had no idea things were that bad between you two. She told me you guys were basically roommates at this point, that you'd agreed to see other people." She lied. "Yeah, I'm figuring that out." He paused. "For what it's worth, nothing physical happened. We just talked and hung out. Don't care." "Right. Well, I'm backing off. This is too messy. I don't need this kind of drama." "Smart choice." He hung up. So that was that the best friend had disappeared. The second things got complicated. Exactly like I'd expected. These guys never stick around when the fantasy becomes reality. They want the excitement of the affair, not the aftermath. That evening, I met Wesley for dinner at a sports bar near his place. We grabbed a booth in the back. She came by again today. Wesley said, "Different approach this time. Calm, sad. Asked if I just tell her where you were staying." "What did you say that I promised not to?" She tried the whole friendship angle, how long we've known each other, how I should care about both of you. I took a drink and I told her, "I do care about both of you. That's why I'm respecting your boundaries and keeping my word." Wesley grinned. She didn't like that much. I bet her little boyfriend bailed yet, called me today, gave me the whole innocent speech and said it was too messy, and he's out. Wesley laughed. Classic. These dudes are all the same big talk until there are consequences. My phone buzzed another unknown number I showed Wesley. "That's like the 10th different number she's tried you from." He said 12th. "Actually, you want to get a new number already ordered? A new SIM card should arrive tomorrow." The message read, "I know you're angry. I know I messed up, but we took vows for better or worse. You can't just quit when things get hard. I showed it to Wesley. That's some selective memory right there. He said, pretty sure those vows also mentioned something about forsaking all others. I typed back. You told me to leave. If I didn't like your life, I left. Enjoy your life. Then I blocked that number too cold, Wesley said, but he was smiling, factual. We watched the game for a while. It felt normal. Good. Like I was returning to who I used to be before everything got complicated. You hear from Jack today? Wesley asked. Yeah. He said her mom called his house phone, somehow started yelling about how I abandoned her daughter. What did he say? Hung up. Then unplugged the phone. Wesley raised his glass. Your family's got your back? Always have. Around 9 p.m. my work email pinged. It was from Diana Holland, my lawyer separation agreement. Drafted, reviewed, and ready for your approval. She's been served with initial paperwork today. Expect escalation. Expect escalation. That was putting it mildly. Sure enough, by the time I got back to Jack's apartment at 1030, I had 42 new messages from various numbers. I didn't read them, just kept blocking. Jack was already asleep, so I tried to be quiet, grabbed a shower, brushed my teeth, settled into the futon. My old phone, the one I was about to retire, buzzed one more time. It was her from yet another number. I'm pregnant. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I did the math. We hadn't been intimate in almost 2 months. She'd been on birth control for years, and even if by some miracle it was true, the timing didn't add up. I screenshot the message and forwarded it to Diana with a note. Document this. It's false, but she's desperate. Diana responded within minutes. Already noted. This is a common tactic. Don't engage. I blocked the number and finally plugged in my new SIM card. New number, new chapter. I sent it only to the people who mattered. Jack, Wesley, my parents, Eleanor at work. Diana, that was it. I fell asleep, wondering how long she'd keep trying before she finally accepted that I meant what I said. That I was actually gone. That the man who would have fought for her, who would have done anything to save the marriage, who would have bent over backwards to make her happy, that man had no longer alive the moment she told me to leave if I didn't like her life. In his place was someone who finally understood that you can't love someone into respecting you. You can only respect yourself enough to walk away. The pregnancy lie lasted exactly 48 hours. Diana called me Tuesday afternoon. She's already backtracking on the pregnancy claim. Her lawyer reached out saying she was emotional and mistaken. They want to discuss terms. No discussion. Standard separation split. What little joint assets we have 50/50ths. I keep my truck. She keeps her car. Everything else can be divided or sold. I don't care. You're making this very easy for me. That's the goal. But she wasn't done trying Thursday evening. I was looking at houses online when Jack came into the living room with a strange expression. Your in-laws are outside. I looked up. Yeah, both of them sitting in their car. I walked to the window. Sure enough, there was her father's sedan parked across the street. I could see 2 figures inside. What do you want to do? Jack asked nothing. They can sit there all night if they want, and they did for 3 hours, just sitting there in the dark waiting for what? I don't know, for me to come out and have some tearful reconciliation conversation to yell at them to apologize. Around 10 p.m. they finally left. Jack shook his head. That was weird. That was desperation. Friday morning at work, Eleanor called me into her office. I need to tell you something and I'm not happy about it. My stomach dropped. What's up? Your wife called our main line yesterday. Told the receptionist she needed to reach you urgently for a family emergency. When pressed, she admitted there was no emergency. She just wanted to talk to you. I'm sorry. Eleanor held up her hand. I'm not telling you this to reprimand you. I'm telling you because I've instructed our entire front desk staff the calls from her are not to be transferred. Period. I've dealt with this situation before from the other side. I know how ugly it gets. Thank you. But I need to know this isn't going to affect your work. It won't. I'm handling it good because you're actually one of my most reliable people. I'd hate to lose that. I went back to my desk feeling lighter. Having Eleanor in my corner mattered more than I'd expected. Lunchtime, I drove to a property across town, small 2-bedroom house in an older neighborhood. Nothing fancy, but the price was right and it had good bones. The kind of place I could actually afford on my salary. The agent, a guy named Leonard Best, met me at the door. First time buyer second, but first time solo. He got it immediately. Didn't ask questions, just showed me around the house. Needed work, paint new flooring in the kitchen, updated fixtures. But was structurally sound. Roof was only 3 years old. Furnace worked fine. I'll put in an offer, I said. You sure you've only seen one place? I'm sure that evening, Wesley invited me to his gym. I hadn't worked out properly in months. Too tired, too stressed, too busy dealing with everything else. The gym felt good, lifting weights, running on the treadmill. Just existing in a space where none of the drama could reach me afterward in the parking lot. Wesley brought up something I'd been avoiding. You haven't actually told me how you're feeling about all this. I leaned against my truck. I honestly relieved. Not sad. I was sad months ago when I realized she'd already checked out. When I understood that the woman I married wasn't the woman living in that house anymore. By the time I left, I'd already grieved. Wesley nodded slowly. That makes sense. The only thing I regret is not doing it sooner. I wasted 6 months trying to fix something. She'd already broken my phone, bust new number, but I recognized the area code. Her parents again, the voicemail came through a minute later, her father's voice stern and disappointed. I raised you better than this. Walking out on your wife without even trying to work things out, your parents would be ashamed. I deleted it without finishing. They getting nasty? Wesley asked, starting to. Your actual parents know what's going on? Yeah, I called them Sunday. Told them everything they said. They'd been worried something was wrong for a while. That she'd seemed distant at family gatherings. What did they say about you leaving? My dad said sometimes the bravest thing you can do is admit something isn't working, and walk away with your dignity intact. Wesley smiled. Smart man. He's been married to my mom for 34 years. He knows what a good marriage looks like and what it doesn't look like. Saturday morning I moved my stuff from Jack's apartment to Wesley, spare bedroom, more permanent arrangement until the house closed if it closed. Diana called while I was unpacking good news and bad news. Good news. First, your offer on the house was accepted. Inspection is scheduled for Tuesday, and the bad news. She's contesting the separation terms, wants spousal support. I actually laughed on what grounds we both work. She makes more than I do. She's claiming she's sacrificed career opportunities to support your marriage. That's complete fiction. I know her lawyer knows, but she's grasping at straws. Well, shut it down easily. How long does this drag things out? Maybe a month? 2. At most. She doesn't have a leg to stand on. After I hung up, Wesley asked spousal support. She's trying. That's genuinely insane. That's genuinely desperate. Sunday, I did something I hadn't done in months. I went to church, not because I was particularly religious, but because it was something I used to do before everything fell apart, before I started skipping to avoid the questions, the concerned looks, the awkwardness of showing up alone while she slept off another late night. The pastor's sermon was about letting go of what weighs you down, about trusting that closing one door allows another to open. I'm not saying it was divine intervention, but the timing was pretty good after service. An older couple I'd known for years stopped me. We haven't seen you in a while. The wife said, I've been dealing with some things. We heard small community. She touched my arm gently. Sometimes the hardest decisions are the right ones. I wasn't expecting that. I braced myself for judgment. Thank you. You take care of yourself. You deserve happiness. Walking to my truck, I realized something. The people who actually knew me, who'd watched my marriage from the outside, they weren't surprised. They'd seen what I tried so hard to deny. That evening, sitting in Wesley's living room watching a game, neither of us cared about my new phone rang unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Is this the coward who abandoned his wife? A man's voice aggressive. Who is this Aaron's brother? You got a problem with him. You deal with him like a man. You don't run away like I hung up. Wesley raised an eyebrow. Problem. Aaron's brother. Apparently the guy already bailed on her. Why is his brother calling? No idea. Don't care. I blocked the number and turned off my phone. Tomorrow was Monday. Back to work, back to normal, back to building a life that was actually mine. The old me would have engaged, would have defended myself, would have tried to make everyone understand the new me knew better. You can't argue with people who've already decided you're wrong. You just live your life and let your actions speak for themselves. Week 3 brought the confrontation I'd been expecting. My parents were having their monthly family dinner, something they'd done for years. Everyone knew about the separation by now, but Mom insisted life goes on and family still gathers. I arrived early to help set up. Jack was already there with his girlfriend, my sister, and her husband. Normal Sunday evening. Then the doorbell rang at 6:15. Mom opened the door, and there she stood. My wife, her sister Holly, right behind her. I'm sorry to just show up, she said, voice shaking, but he won't return my calls, and we need to talk. My dad appeared in the doorway. This isn't the place. Please. I just need 5 minutes. That's all. Mom looked at me. I shook my head. I think you should leave, Mom said gently but firmly. Mrs. Parker, please. I love your son. I made mistakes, but we can fix this. I walked to the door. Everyone went quiet. She looked at me with those red eyes, desperate, broken. You told me to leave if I didn't like how you lived your life, I said calmly. I left. There's nothing to fix. I didn't mean it like that. I was angry. I said something stupid. No. You said something honest, maybe the most honest thing you'd said in months. Holly stepped forward. You're being cruel. She's trying. She's trying. Now where was this effort when I asked her to stop going out every weekend, when I asked her to set boundaries with Aaron, when I begged her to go to counseling? Silence. That's what I thought. I looked at my wife one last time. You had a husband who would have done anything for you, who stayed faithful, who tried. You threw that away. Don't come crying now that Aaron bailed and you're alone. Her face crumpled. Holly grabbed her arm. We're leaving. Dad said, not a suggestion. They left. Mom closed the door. If the dinner was quiet at first, then my sister broke the tension. Well, that was intense. Had to be said. Jack offered. Dad sat down heavily. You handled that better than I would have at your age. I've had practice. We ate, we talked about other things, normal things, work, weather, Jack's upcoming vacation around 9 p.m. after everyone left. Mom pulled me aside. You okay? Yeah, actually I am. She looked destroyed. She destroyed herself. I just stopped trying to save her from the consequences. Mom hugged me. I'm proud of you. That took strength. Tuesday, the house inspection came back. Clean. Minor issues, nothing major. I signed the purchase agreement that afternoon Wednesday. Diana called. She's dropped the spousal support claim, accepting the separation terms as written. What changed my guess? Reality set in fighting costs. Money. She doesn't have. Aaron's gone. Her support system is realizing she's not the victim she claimed to be. So we're done. Not quite, still need to finalize everything but the hard parts. Over 6 months and you're officially divorced. 6 months felt like forever, and no time at all. Friday evening, I got the keys to my house. Small, quiet, empty mine. Wesley helped me move in. The few things I owned. Took about 2 hours, not much stuff. For 6 years of marriage, he observed. Didn't need much, just needed what was mine that night. I slept on an air mattress in an empty bedroom of a house I'd bought by myself. No furniture yet, no TV. Just boxes and space and silence. It was perfect. My phone buzzed. Once her number, I'd unblocked it to see if she'd reach out. The message was simple. I hope you're happy. I typed back. I'm getting there. Then I blocked her again for good this time because I was getting there slowly, deliberately, one day at a time without her. 6 months passed faster than I expected. The house filled up slowly. Furniture from thrift stores, a decent couch from Wesley's cousin kitchen table. I built myself. Nothing fancy, just functional and mine. Work promoted me to senior coordinator. Eleanor said I'd earned it. I think she just appreciated that. I showed up every day and did the job without drama. The divorce papers arrived on a Tuesday in October. Simple manila envelope. Official stamps, final decree. I opened it at my kitchen table with coffee I'd made in the machine. I bought myself, read through the legal language that officially ended 6 years of marriage. Then I filed it in a drawer and went to work. No celebration. No anger, just closure. That weekend, Jack and Wesley came over for the first dinner party in my new place. Nothing elaborate. Burgers on the grill. I picked up beer, football on the TV I'd finally bought. How's it feel? Jack asked. Being officially single again, feels like I've been single for 7 months. The paperwork just made it official. Wesley raised his beer to new chapters to self-respect. I counter. Same toast as before. Still true. We ate, we laughed. We watched the game around 8 p.m. My phone buzzed, unknown number. I almost didn't check it, but I did. It was heard from a number I didn't recognize. I heard it's final. I just wanted to say I'm sorry for everything. You deserve better. I stared at the message for a long time, then I typed back. I know that's why I left. I blocked the number and set my phone down. Jack noticed her. Yeah, you okay? Yeah, I'm good. And I was, for the first time in years, I was actually good. Not perfect. Not healed completely, but good. I had a house, a job I liked, friends who had my back, family who understood, space to breathe, room to grow. I'd learned something important through all of this. You can't make someone respect you. You can't love someone into treating you right. You can't fix a relationship where only one person is trying, but you can respect yourself enough to walk away. You can recognize when you're worth more than what you're being given. You can choose yourself. That Friday night, she told me to leave. If I didn't like her life, she thought she was calling my bluff. She thought I'd never actually do it, that I'd bend that. I'd break, that I'd beg instead. I took her advice. I left, and I built something better, not with her, despite her, because of me. The divorce was final, the chapter was closed, the door was locked, and I was finally free. The house felt like a sanctuary that night. It wasn't just the drywall on the subfloor, it was the fact that every square inch of the place was free from the lingering scent of her perfume and the heavy, suffocating silence of a failing marriage. I sat on my back porch, watching the neighborhood settle into the evening, and realized I hadn't checked my phone for hours. I didn't care if she was out, who she was with, or what time she'd be home. Those questions had been the bars of my cage, and I'd finally walked through the door she opened for me. The next few months were a blur of sawdust and small victories. I spent my weekends stripping the old wallpaper in the hallway and replacing the outdated light fixtures. I learned how to tile a backsplash by watching videos and calling my dad for advice. Every tile I laid felt like reclaiming a piece of the man I used to be before I started making myself small to fit into her world. One Saturday, while I was covered in thin set and grout, the doorbell rang. I expected Wesley or Jack, but when I opened the door, it was a woman from 2 houses down. She was holding a plate of cookies and looking a bit shy. "Hi, I'm Sarah," she said. "I saw you working on the place and realized I never officially welcomed you to the neighborhood. I moved in about a year ago." "I'm Mark, sorry about the mess," I said, wiping my hands on a rag. "I'm elbow deep in a kitchen remodel." "It looks great from the street. You've done a lot of work." We talked for a few minutes, about the neighborhood, the local hardware store, and the best place to get a burger nearby. It was easy. There was no subtext, no hidden resentment, no feeling that I was being graded on my performance as a human being. When she left, I went back to my tiling with a whistle. By the time winter rolled around, the house was finished. It wasn't a mansion, but it was warm, it was paid for, and it was mine. I invited my parents over for Christmas dinner. It was the first time in nearly a decade that a holiday didn't involve navigating my ex-wife's moods, or her family's passive-aggressive comments. My mom sat at my handmade table and looked around with a soft smile. "You've made a real home here, Mark," she said. "I did, Mom, I really did." I still see her name pop up in the local news or on mutual friends' social media occasionally. She's still at the firm. She's still going to the same bars. From what I hear, Aaron didn't stay just a friend for long, but he didn't stay a boyfriend for long either. She's living exactly the life she told me I didn't have to like. And she was right. I didn't like it. But the irony is, by telling me to leave, she gave me the only life I actually wanted. I stood in my kitchen that night after my parents left, cleaning the dishes and listening to the hum of the refrigerator. The house was quiet, but it wasn't lonely. It was the sound of a man who finally realized that for better or worse doesn't mean staying until you've been hollowed out. It means having the strength to choose the better for yourself when the worse becomes the only thing left. I turned off the light, walked up the stairs to my room, and for the first time in 6 years, I didn't look back. Would you like me to write a scene where Mark runs into his ex-wife at a local event a year later?